Morning all. Apologize for getting this video out late. It's actually the start of the day right now. It's 8 o'clock. I'm creating this video this morning. Usually I create them either at night or early in the morning. This morning I struggled waking up. I don't know about you, but getting back into routine in 2021 has been a little bit slow to come. So I'm hoping that by the end of this week, we're all back in sync and we're all doing the things we need to do to be successful day in, day out. But regardless of whether we're tired or not, we always got to put our best foot forward and just try our best. So that's what we're here to do today, at least from my perspective. I'm here just to try my best and do be the best Mr. Briggs that I can be today. So back into fraction review. We're just going to kind of keep going with some more review based off the fourth grade end of the unit assessment for fractions. So all of this should be skills that you have covered in fourth grade. So whether you mastered them or not, or whether you've lost some of those skills or not, we're just going to bring those skills back up to speed so that you feel confident and comfortable with those skills, and then start moving into fifth grade math starting tomorrow. So if you haven't received your book yet, you'll get it today. If you're Omega student, Alpha, you should have went home with it yesterday. And distance learners, I placed them in the main office yesterday morning. So they'll be there for you. If you don't have a chance to get them, you can always do it digitally. So I know that most of us like pencil paper, but if you can be successful with digital tools. So that's my spiel this morning. Let's get into looking at the math. So let me minimize my face so I can put my screen down to write on. All right. Oh, get some stuff out of the way. My desk is already cluttered in 2021, but as my sign says, thank Mrs. Byrne for getting it for me. A cluttered desk is a sign of genius. I'm not really sure that's the case, but it made me feel better when she got it. All right, so let's go ahead and see. We talked about this first page yesterday, so let me just skip to the next page. There we go. Now let's just quickly talk about what's at the bottom of this page. Come on. I'm struggling with my tools today. All right, so yesterday in the mini review lesson, I did not talk about finding the sum or the difference. I just put it on the exit ticket to see what you guys remembered. And for the most part, I was pretty impressed. It really got weird when we got down to here. And the reason for that is because it required some regrouping. And regrouping is something that you guys are all probably capable of and remember how to do. You just forgot a few of the steps. So let me just kind of quickly show you a mini lesson on that one. So I'm going to zoom. Oops, I can't zoom in unless I have my pen tool. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. That's not a little bit more. Oh my goodness. I think I messed up. Cancel. Hold on. Bear with me. I think I'm still recording. Yeah, I'm still recording. I'm sorry. There's my ceiling. Let me share my screen again. My apologies. Here I thought I was going to zoom in, and I lost my screen. All right. So the math problem is 5 2/5 minus 1 3/5. So if we think about like units, and we have two whole numbers, so they're like units, I can take 1 from 5. So I know I can do that. But what about our fraction, our parts of the number? We have 2/5 minus 3/5. So the question we have to ask ourselves, can we take 3/5 away from 2/5? Could you take, and this is why I always do in my brain just to help myself understand it. Sometimes fraction units are a little harder to understand, but once I put it into, I usually use fruit. Once I put it into a unit like that, 2 apples minus 3 apples, can I take 3 apples from 2 apples? I'm like, no, so I can't take 3/5 from 2/5. So what we do, and this might look familiar to you once you start seeing it, is we use a number bond. And we're gonna just pull one whole out of the, just like when we regroup in subtraction, we take one place value and then regroup it into a smaller unit. Well, the same thing's true here. We're gonna take 1 away from the ones. So if we take 1 away from 5, it becomes 4. But we're gonna convert that 1 into a smaller unit? Well, the smaller unit is the parts of a number that we have. And we have fifths. So we know that we have to show it as 5/5. So 4 plus 5/5 is still 5. But we still have to remember to recombine the 4 and 5/5 with 2/5. So that would be 4 and 7/5 minus 1 and 3/5. Now that we have done that, now it's easy. Now we can just subtract like units. So 7/5 minus 3/5 is 4/5. 4 minus 1 is 3, and 3 and 4/5. Is that the only way you can do it? No, there's other ways. But this is one of the ways I know that you were taught last year. All right, so now that we've kind of talked about that, let's go ahead and look at the next pages and see what was going on over here. All right, this is important. Now, this is a word right there. It's going to stand out, and we're going to say a lot in fraction unit. It's called unit fraction. Now, a unit fraction is always 1 over the unit. Doesn't matter if we're talking 4s, 5ths, 6s, 7ths, 8ths. If I ask for a unit fraction, I'm asking for one piece of that unit. Okay, so that is going to be drilled into your head. You're going to understand that really well. Now it says rewrite 3 times 6 eighths as the product of a unit fraction and a whole number. Solve. So we have to ask ourselves, well, what 3 times 6 is what? Well, 3 times 6 is 18. So it's going to be 18 eighths, but we want to show it as a product, so a multiplication sentence of a unit fraction and a whole number. So our whole number is going to be 18 because there's 18 parts. If we have 6/8 3 times, right? If we have 6/8 3 times, it's 18, but it wants us to show it as a unit fraction. So it's 18 times 1/8. So you have 1/8 pieces 18 times, and it wants you to solve, and then it would be 18 eighths. Okay, so it's just a way to break this number down and show it in a different way and help us understand what it really means, 18 eighths. Well, it's 18 1/8 pieces. Good. All right, well, rewrite 4 times 6 and 2/3 as the product. So now it's not just 3 times a fraction, it's 4 times a mixed number. So what's this going to look like? All right, so what do I do with my pen? All right, so we have to think about what 4 times 6 and 2/3 is. Well, let's just break it apart. Let's do 4 times, let me get my highlighter tool so I can show what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do 4 times 6, and then I'm gonna also then do 4 times 2/3 and kind of put them back together. 4 times 6 would be 24, right? And then 4 times 2/3 would be 8/3. But, oh my goodness, what do we do here? Oh, I think I actually messed up. I mean, the answer is going to be right, but it's not going to do it as they wanted it. And let me finish what I was doing, and then I'll explain why it didn't work the way we wanted it to. Well, I know that I can take 2 wholes out of 8. I can take 6/3 out of 8/3, and that's 2 wholes. So my answer should be 26 and 2/3, but that's not how they wanted me to rewrite the sentence. That's the solve part, so I'd get some credit, but my brain instantly goes to solving it, but we got to make sure we're following the directions. Once it is a product of a unit fraction, so it's something going to be times 1/3, because we know the unit is thirds. So it's going to be something times 1/3, and how do we know what that is? Well, this is where I went down the wrong path, and I apologize for that. So let's all learn from my mistake. So let me just rewrite 4 times 6 and 2/3 over here. Now, we know that they want the sentence as times 1/3 because it's asking for a unit fraction. So we know that we need to know how many 1/3 groups are inside of there. Well, we know that there's 2/3, but do we know how many thirds? Let me change my color so you can see it. How many 6 wholes is? Well, remember, each for thirds is going to be how many? 3/3, that's right. So 6 times 3/3, or 6 times 3 apples, is 18 apples, or 18 thirds. So really, this part is 18 thirds plus 2/3, because 18 thirds is 6 wholes, 2/3 is the extra part. So altogether, really, this is saying 4 times 20 thirds. Well, what is 4 times 20 thirds? Or what is 4 times 20 apples? Well, 4 times 20 apples is 80 apples. So 4 times 20 thirds is going to be 80 thirds. And we can show that as a product of a unit fraction by saying 80 times 1/3. And we know that the answer of that is over here, because, and we could have showed that, let me show, if I just went through it, 80 thirds, and then if I divided 80 by 3, I would get 26 with 2/3. Let me prove that real quick. Let me change to black, and I'm just going to scroll down, and we'll talk about this section in a second. But 80 divided by 3, right? So I can take 2 groups of 3 out of 8. That would give me 6. Leaves me with 2 remaining. Bring down that 0, 20. I can take 6 groups of 3 out of 20 evenly. That would leave me with 2 remainder. There's no other parts, but remember, this is why I asked us to start showing our remainder as part of a fraction, 26 and 2/3. That's exactly what we got the other way when we just solved it, but we have to make sure that we're following those directions. I want all the credit. I want credit for the rewriting of the sentence, and I want credit for the solving. So good job. One of those 2 style of questions that we just did will definitely be on your exit ticket to practice. All right. Okay, let me clear that and let's scroll down. And this is the last section that we're going to do on our mini lesson. Determine if the following are true or false. Explain how you know using models or words. So you can draw pictures, you can show using mathematical sentences, or you can just use your words. Make false problems true by rewriting the right side of the number sentence. So like we need to correct it if it needs to. So let's take a look at A. 7 and 1/3 is, they're saying, is equal to 7 plus 1/3. Well, that's definitely true, right? Oops, that was a bad true. True. All right, let's take a look over at B. It's saying 5/3 is equal to 3/3 plus 2/3. Well, is 3 apples plus 2 apples 5 apples? Yeah. So 3/3 plus 2/3 is 5/3. Oops, I started writing the word thirds. True. Okay. Now it's saying 13 on C. 13/6 minus 5/6 is kind of like thinking 13 minus 5, but you keep the same unit of 6. What do you think on that one? This is where I always say, like, you can do apples to apples, not apples to oranges. So 13 apples minus 5 apples, could you do it? Does it? Yeah. And does the apples change? No, the unit doesn't change. So the unit doesn't change, but we are taking those parts away. So that is absolutely true. That is the steps you would take to subtract. Here we go. All right, let's take a look at 11/3 equals 11 plus 1/3. What do you think on this one? Well, this one is false. Because if we just add 11 plus 1/3, we get 11 and 1/3. We're just putting them together, right? So to change this, we need 11 groups of 1/3. So 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. So that is how we're going to correct this sentence. We're going to turn it into this. All right. Oh, a couple more problems. Hey, Tyler's here. All right, last 2 in the mini lesson, and then you can go on to your exit ticket. So 7/8 plus 7/8 plus 7/8 plus 7/8 is the same thing or is equal to 4 groups of 7/8? Well, yeah, repeated addition is multiplication. So is that one group, two group, three groups, four groups? Yeah, 4 groups of 7/8. So you're going to hear me say that a lot. I'm going to turn the x multiplication symbol into the word groups of. So that it makes it a little bit, I can visualize that in my head easier when I use the word groups of instead of 4 times 7/8. Well, 4 times 7/8, so I'm like, hey, but when I think 4 groups of, this is exactly what I think of. It's just easier for my brain to visualize. If it works for you, please, please use it. All right, so that was true. Sorry. All right, so let's look at F. 5 groups of 3 times 3, 5 groups of 3 and 3/4. So remember, if we think about that, it would be 3 and 3/4 plus 3 and 3/4 plus 3 and 3/4 plus 3, right? And one more time, one more time. So that's what that is. But if I think about that, just estimating, these are all very close to 4. 4, 1, 2. So our answer should be around 20, kind of a little less than 20 is what I'm thinking is my estimate. So right away, my brain's like, is this true or not? Well, then I look at the other side of the sentence. Miss Hevlin? All right, sorry about that. 15 plus 3/4. Well, 15 and 3/4, if we just put that together, well, that's 15 and 3/4. So that's definitely not going to be accurate. So how many? So how can we rechange this? Is I guess the question I want to ask. What can we rewrite this as? Well, this one's really the most challenging one on this because we know that it's false. So that's the number one thing that we want to notice, that these two things were not equal. Rewriting it on this one is the most challenging one. But let's think about it. Let's keep this one side the same. 5 times 3 and 3/4 equals. Well, there's still 5 groups of. The way we're going to break this apart is we're just going to take the 3 and 3/4 and kind of separate them and just show that we can pull those apart and add them together like this. So it's 5 groups of 3 plus 3/4. That one's a little tricky. But if you notice that it was false, that's the number one thing I would really want you to walk away from with that question, not necessarily how to rewrite it and correct it to make it true. All right, so that's today's lesson. Please let me know if you think of any good tagline to sign off with. I don't want to do like and subscribe type of thing, but I feel like it would be a fun way to show a fun way to end the videos, I guess I should say. But anyways, I'm signing off. I'll catch you guys later. Please let me know if you need any support. Wednesday, tomorrow, is the start of lesson 1 out of our book, so make sure you get that. Zoom at 1:20 tomorrow in the afternoon. That is posted on Schoology. Hope to see you there, and have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.